Hello, I'm Rufus Black and I work at the University of Tasmania. I was actually heading to Berlin. I was a university student who'd grown up in the era of the Cold War and was thrilled at the prospect that our world was about to change in dramatic and important ways. And so I went to Berlin, and here is a piece of the Berlin Wall that I broke down as part of being there and celebrating that extraordinary moment of East and West coming together, of freedom and democracy spreading across Europe. A powerful and life-changing experience of people taking the future into their own hands and breaking down the apparently immovable and unshakable changed my life. And I guess I'm someone who has always thought about breaking down walls. That's why I love this whole project. I have to say, I wanted to be a lot of things because it was all about what I wanted to do. And I wanted to make our world a better place, that young, idealistic aspiration, that same thing that took me to the Berlin Wall. I wanted to see our world different. I was worried about the environment. I was worried about poverty. I was worried about the tensions in the world. And I wanted to make change. And I've tried all sorts of vehicles to do it, but the thing I've really landed on is at the very core of it, it's education. It's the ability to provide people with new knowledge, new skills that help them to live different lives and to make the change themselves. The empowering force of education, the capacity to push back new kinds of knowledge for our new challenges, that takes us to the core of what produces the lasting change. So I want to talk to you a little about a project that's at the heart of what we're doing at the University of Tasmania. What's the challenge we're taking on? Tasmania is an extraordinary island, a beautiful place at the far end of the world, bridged between the great continent above us and the Southern Ocean, the Antarctic below us, an island that is more than a third World Heritage Wilderness, but with a population with all sorts of social and economic challenges. We lag the country by a long distance in terms of our health outcomes, our levels of literacy. Many people are in intergenerational poverty here. And we are the only university for this island and for its people. So what we've done is to say, can we reconceptualize what a university does in a place like this? Change how we think about it. How can we work with Tasmanians in their many different ways to change the destiny of this island? To work with them to create this, not just to address not just to address those challenges, but to create this as the next model the world looks to about how you create unique levels of quality, of well-being, of health, of longevity, of community, and of inclusiveness. For university, that changes how we think about things. We actually start not with anything about us, but with about our community, with their concrete goals that we talk about and work on together to solve, and work back to what the role of a university is in achieving those changes. Some of these areas we're pushing ahead with already in strong ways. In dementia, we have an aging population, and dementia threatens to be a very substantial chronic disease burden. We lead the world in dementia work. So what we've done is to say, how could we reduce the dementia burden for the whole population? We know about a third of it is reducible. So our team is engaged in a project to change the dementia outcomes for the entire population, because we know what you need to do that. The levels of exercise, of cognitive engagement. So our researchers are working with our communities to change those behaviours, to change those outcomes. So we've been thinking right across all of our work, what's that chain, that change model that enables us to go from community need all the way back through what we do. Sometimes it's the skills we're building. How do we uniquely train our doctors or our nurses with the skills they need for this particular population? How does our research actually partner with people to generate the new solutions they need to create new jobs where there are no jobs, to join up human services where they're not joined up? How do we do that? How do we actually engage with communities and work with them to break down so many of the barriers that they face? All of that guides our agenda. We've also been working with colleagues, our friends at Elsevier, to think about how do we measure it? How do we make sure we take serious accountability of the ability of delivering that kind of impact? So it is a reconceptualization of the model of how a university can work. We put traditional rankings kind of notions to one side. We put the traditional outputs to one side, and we focused on outcomes that when we began this, people said, isn't that the job of government? And we said, actually, in the modern world, it's the job of us all, especially those who bring knowledge and skills to the tasks that we have ahead of us. Now, of course, there are a lot of challenges. The system wasn't built to do this, so we're rebuilding the system. We're designing tools for all of our planning, for our strategic decision making, in order to reorient our work. We're redesigning our curricula. All of our curricula is being redesigned to build in those skills that are needed. Our research agenda is being reshaped into those areas of focus. And the fascinating thing, of course, is as it's turning out as we do that, we're actually doing super well in all the quality measures, because if you solve things that really matter, inevitably you're doing great quality work. Turns out this is an either or. This is very much an and in how we tackle these things. But it is redesigning all that we're doing. The thing that we've really learnt is that actually you can redesign a university's entire strategy and management system in order to deliver an outcome like this. It doesn't have to be the result of a particular time in a particular place. This is a scalable way in which universities can change their task and their mission quite profoundly. And we think now more than ever around the world, that's really important. The challenge at the end of the day is culture. How do we help where a university, and we are like one of many, where people grew up solving a different question. What was success in that model is not what we think is success today. So we have a lot of culture to change, to work and support people to come behind this idea and to make it happen. It's not the hard measures, it's the soft ones that really are the thing that we're needing to work on together in order to get that done. Well, my children, it's a little story about this place. We discovered Tasmania when my children were really little, and we fell in love with it. In fact, fell so crazily in love with it. We came on holiday and we just bought a block of land and we said, we want to make our lives here. And so some years ago, my kids were always going to come here. And now that we are here and they know the work we're doing, they're late teenagers, they just can't think of a more important thing to be doing and involved in, because this island's future is their future. They understand what a university's there for. It's to make the future they want and that they care about and that their friends at school want and care about. So actually, and that's the real thing with things like this, this is a project for kids as well as it is for researchers and academics. It's a project for the whole community. So it matters an awful lot that kids can get it and understand it, believe in it, and actually also want to be a part of it in the ways that they can.